ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. We'll chant the Shanti Mantra of this particular Upanishad. I'll chant this and then we will start. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranaschakshushrotramato Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu Tadatmani Niriteya Upanishadsu Dharmas Te mayi santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So last time we saw this verse, Keneshitam patati preshitam manah kena pranah pratamah praiti yuktaha Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti chakshushrotram kavadevo yunaktihi. So ordained by whom these sense organs work. So for initiation, there has to be some force behind things. So ordained by whom these things work actually. When they are working, it's fine. Then we want to know the root cause of what's happening, why they are happening. So that's where Vichara, that's what Vichara is all about. Knowing the why part of things is really Vichara. So rightfully so, the person who is interested in knowing the ultimate cause and ultimate reasons and the mechanism world works, the jiva works, the world the way it functions, the creator behind this, the one who wants to know all these things will definitely start with this question, what, how, when, all these things. So here the student is asking, ordained by whom all these sense organs work? How how does mind fall on the objects based on whose strength and ordained by whom? So this is how the question is structured by the person who has asked this question. So the answer is given in the subsequent verse, and since this Upanishad is little bit brief as well, compared to many other Upanishads which are a little bit lengthier, the steps we take are little bit, you can say these are longer steps actually when each of this concept is being revealed. So right at the beginning itself, when the answer is coming in, it's already coming in loaded fully with lot of information which was given more in steps in Vivek Chudamani. So where we were taken through many steps to reach that level. But here, the presentation is different here. Probably this presentation is for some people who have already got the background of some of these concepts. So that's how this Upanishad is structured, depending on where the student is coming from and what is his prior knowledge available already. So that's how this Upanishad is structured. So when the question was put as to what is it based on, whatever tattva or whatever, who's the person who's working behind these things, ordained by whom these things are working. So this question was coming in. Basically, this is going more towards the cause, the ultimate cause. So that is the question put. Appropriately, the answer that is given is straight away that ordained by whom. That whom is basically, he is saying that he is the ear of ears, mind of mind, and speech of all speech. So basically what he is saying is that all that we normally refer to as this indriya, they are basically the one which we can see as a gross object. And to some extent you can also say that if someone knows a little bit about cornea, all this stuff, the organs which are internally there, they are gross body, but still we know from others, or those surgeons, that these things do exist. So anatomy wise, we may see only things which is on the periphery of our body. Things which are inside, they are more, to some extent you can say, pratyaksha, because that sensory perception is always there. We may not feel stomach until on the time it creates that hunger pang, and when we have stomach ache. But we can just feel stomach. We can feel all the internal organs. When especially they go wrong, we can always feel those internal organs. In fact, we count those internal organs. We understand that there is something called that organ only when some problem gets created in that. But we can still feel them. So to some extent it is pratyaksha. However, the shape of it, obviously we will not be able to get it right through those feelings. We are taught actually that by others. Of course we can see it by dissecting the body of someone else. So that is possible. That's how we learn, okay, probably this is what is functioning, and the same thing should be in my body as well at the particular point. So that's more an inference actually. So that is not pratyaksha. If you want pratyaksha knowledge of heart of all of us, you have to open it and then see it and then put it back actually. So to a larger extent, we have shraddha in all these things. ठीक है यार, उसने heart बोला तो ठीक है, समझ लेते हैं, अपना खोल के तो नहीं देखना. We will understand it. We will have shraddha in what that gentleman is saying about anatomy. Let's stop there itself. We don't need to open it and then see this is how it is. So if you see, even in our own understanding of the daily life stuff, we have pratyaksha and we have anumana. Okay. When things go subtler, that's where one gets a little confused. For example, brain, until one talks about brain as an anatomy, one can understand, okay, it looks like that walnut shape and with kind of folded stuff, and divided that into pendula, this, that, whatever. Those things we can understand. But then when it goes into thoughts, when it goes into the brain signals, whatever the neurons they exchange, that becomes a little subtler. You can say it is still a gross knowledge, because someone is taking you through the idea of electric signals, and someone can imagine and approximate those ideas into those thought process as well. Until that is fine. Now, once you start objectifying one by one, at this subtle level, most levels as well, then you will really try to ask actually, okay, fine. So every subtle thing I have understood now, then who is that behind all the subtle things? So that becomes a question mark actually. So as long as for example, you have mobile in front of you, you are not the mobile, that's very clear, and you have hand which is using the mobile. We have heard that people can live without hands, so we know that, okay, hand is not an indispensable part of our body, though it is an integral part of our body. So each of these things, we do know that we can survive, for example, without the respiratory system. The respiratory system, finally the output is what? It has to give the exchange of oxygen into that blood flow. That's the only thing it is doing. Ultimate thing is that only, no. One cannot say that the lungs are given for doing pranayama. That's the least thing it is given for actually. So one need not be given lungs just because one has to do pranayama and elevate themselves spiritually. That is not the purpose of lungs. It is just an anatomy. That's how this is working. Only if oxygen is given into blood, it gives energy and it gives whatever to brain to function, and that's how this tattva works. I mean, it needs glucose and it needs oxygen. That's how brain works. It is just that this anatomy is engineered this way. Now the question comes, who engineered it this way, while earthworm is engineered in another way? Why it is engineered in that way, and why am I engineered this way? So earthworm just swallows soil, takes it through its body, nutrients are absorbed, and again soil goes back outside. The soil just passes through its entire system. That's what is happening in earthworm, if I'm right in what I'm saying. This is what I've learned. Fine. Many times people may say that मैं भी जो खाता हूँ तो मट्टी जैसे रहता है, वो अलग बात है. That's a different thing. But we are given a different set of digestive system and different set of food, and that's how we are made actually. So when we understand all this, then we have to again account for why these differences, what is the purpose of these things, and who is behind these things. That who part is what is being asked actually. So that objectivity, what I was saying. So mobile is outside of us. Hand also, if you see, not a great part that it has to make you survive in the sense of survival. And none of these functions, which whether it's a circulatory function or the digestive function or respiratory function, any function for that matter, they can be replaced by an equipment. So put a guy who's like a vegetable, put all these things work. So then, if this is the concept, this is the way things work, then just living, being able to think or being able to do certain things, or just living or having the heartbeat going through, or just the functions running, is not a great deal actually. There's something beyond this. So that's where I think the questions come in. So the answer is that all that you see is something which is anitya. These keep changing, and for them to work, even to have this anityatva as a state, there has to be a background which has to be nitya vastu. Because anything that is anitya is with reference to a nitya vastu. Always. Everything what we say is with reference to another thing. Always. So the moment we say something is time bound, that means that there is something which is beyond time or which is neutral to time. That is how something which is time bound is being measured, right? That's how it works actually. So that's how it is understood. So the answer that is coming up in this verse is Shrotrasya Shrotram. It's presented as ordained by whom that person is being shown this way. He is the ear of ears, eye of eyes, right? Speech of speech. So this is how it is mentioned here, to just say that that's the basis of everything that you see grossly that's happening. That's the most subtlest base based on which all this is working. One example, stock example, very close to my heart, is the example of space. We can take space for this analysis also. It's a very nice example to pick up all the time. There is no material thing that can exist without space. So in this question, if we just twist the question this way, what is that substance on which all these things are based? Material things. So let us come to material things actually. So the answer is very simple. It is that space which is basically lending its existence to everything that is seen as a material thing here. Anything that is material here has its being in space. So space is the invariable in every material thing. So invariable in what sense? Invariable in the sense that space has no guna. In the sense, to some extent, okay, it is a bhuta, so it has guna, but we can say that space is colorless, odorless, tasteless, and sizeless. So this is what it is. So you can add one more thing actually. So for gases, I think normally sometimes we say it is colorless, odorless, tasteless gas. We say this. So in space, we can add one more. It's colorless, odorless, tasteless, and also dimensionless. Yes, basically length, breadth, and height are dimensions created by the mind to measure space and understand space objectively. Otherwise, space has no dimension as such. The dimension is brought about by mind. That mind again is backed up by that ultimate. That ultimate is mind of minds. That's the answer being given here. That is given the status as mind of minds. So for mind also to really work, it gains its support from consciousness, just like the way any material item depends on space for its existence. The tattva is space. The basic tattva is space. Here, where we are thinking about thoughts, a person who's thinking. So this particular stuff is based on consciousness. So consciousness is the ingredient based on which this tattva, entire thing operates actually. So that's what is being indicated here. Ear of ear, eyes of eyes. So that's why it is indicated here. So in the case of the material objects which I gave as an example before, that space which lends, for example, its existence to a tennis ball. Same size you have leather ball, which is a season ball we can call it, which is used in the professional cricket matches. Same size, for example, we say same dimension, the same space lends its existence to another ball as well. Okay. The only thing which we need to note is, as far as this tennis ball is concerned and this leather ball is concerned, we can find out so many differences between them: weight, height, color, and mass. Everything we can see. You know, the scene, the way it is made, everything, and the contents inside them, we can very easily bring them out. Write, maybe 10 pages on each of this, and also maybe another 20 pages on the differences of each of this between these two. We can do that. But when a person, if you have to trick a person and make him fail, you would ask only one question. You write 100 lines, on the differences between the space which this tennis ball is occupying and the space which this leather ball is occupying. If you have to trick someone and not make him pass in the exam, you would only ask this question. Please comment on that particular space, on the differences between this and this. I really want to know what would be the response from the team here. It will be nice to know. If one is asked to write, list down the differences, maybe if they say that please give 100 differences between this space and this space, tennis ball and the space occupied by tennis ball and the space occupied by leather ball. So we can just go around, everyone, just ask, just see what is the response. Anyone can go first.
Same.
Okay. Others, do they feel differently?
It's the same space.
Okay. Anyone else?
Same.
Yeah, others feeling the same?
Yes, Bhaskar, space is, it's called same thing.
Okay, fine. So I think all of us are in the same plane of understanding. So when you see the tattva part of it, behind these two, there is unity. We are not able to see difference at all. There is unity. So just link that to our current verse. Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso manoyat. So ear of ear is, for example, that ultimate material of that particular thing is space. The ultimate existence of that particular tennis ball is also space, and the ultimate existence of the leather ball is also space. And between space, absolutely there is no difference. That is one indivisible whole, and that is one entity. That's what basically here also is being said. The person is asking, how am I able to see this particular thing? What is the tattva based on which I am able to see this? So there it is said that which is the ear of ear, that which is the eye of eye, is behind what you are asking. So that which is that which is the real eye of eye is a common factor in everyone. It's one common thing which is used by each of this separate jivas, the senses in each of these separate jivas, They only borrow this from that ultimate thing, which is the ear of ear, eye of eye. You can say anything for that matter. Nose of nose, color of color, everything you can say. All that thing what is being mentioned here is that there is one invariable, just approximate the example of space. There is one invariable which is the base on which everything else has its existence, and as things come they have differences between them, but at the root there is no difference whatsoever. And then what is the link between this and this particular thing which is seeing differently, and from where it has come, that would come later. That would come more in the Aikya part, which we have seen in Viveka Chudamani. That will come more towards the later part. But what is being said now is there is something which is beyond all these things, behind these things, and that's the reason, that's the real cause of these senses. So that's the summary of this verse.
And what is behind that is that what?
No. There's your voice broke. Can you please repeat, Maniji?
So I am saying the eye of eye, the ear of ear. So what we are talking about is basically what is behind everything is Brahman.
Yes.
Or Atma.
Yes. So you'll come to that only. Since you have this background of Viveka Chudamani, obviously you will be able to guess it very easily. It is going towards that only. So that consciousness is the thing which is behind everything that what we see. So you're right.
I have one more question here. As you said, the example of space. Can Atma exist without space?
Okay. Space exists in Atma. Space or any other concept exists in Atma. So, if you say, if we extend what was mentioned here, eye of eye, ear of ear, speech of speech, right? Atma is space of all space. Space of all space is Atma. Because Atma is not space alone. Even in Pancha Mahabhutas, we have Pancha Mahabhuta. We have Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha and Prithvi. We have 5. So, one thing alone cannot be Atma. Everything put together has to be Atma. So, if we talk about space, we are trying to understand Atma in parts. That's all. Anything we pursue as knowledge has to be in line with our mental limitation. That's the reason all sounds given at one go will not help us. That way, Om is all sound. If you say every sound put together is one sound, you can say the ultimate sound is Om. But that cannot help perhaps mind-wise. So then you have to start with A, B, C, D. Every sound, vowels, consonant, they have to be given. Because for transaction, that's how it is useful. Mind can only take that much. When we come to totality, space is a part of the totality. It's not even total. It is only part of the totality actually. So, consciousness is all space and no space at the same time. Because space is a concept which comes more because of Maya. And Maya is presented as that where Guna starts. And Maya is what? Maya is dependent on Brahman. It is Brahmashraya. So it's already presented in Viveka Chudamani. So the Maya part, that's why the Maya part is very useful, because we anchor it with a name. That particular point, we anchor it with a name. That Maya is that which can project a world out of a thing which is otherwise bereft of any gunas. That's the beauty of Maya. It can project a world of gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, out of a thing which in itself has no guna for that matter. Because totality is that, so everything has to be in that only. But in itself, Brahman as Brahman has absolutely no guna in it at all. So that's how it is presented. That's how one understands also. That's why it is self-revealing. So Brahman cannot have another microscope that can reveal it, or a telescope. If you think it is far too far, then we want that to be shown through a telescope, like the way we see Saturn, Mercury, or any other galaxy. Not possible, because unfortunately it is not that far. It is so near as well. It is so near. Do we want to see through a microscope? No, that's also not possible, because it is nothing other than oneself. It is just oneself. That's the reason the witness, the person who is observer, is Brahman. That's the reason that Brahman can never be shown either by microscope or by a telescope, because it is far and wide and so close as well at the same time, because it is just, that's what is considered everywhere. No? All pervasive universe is everywhere. Something which is everywhere, you have to only look at the nearest point, not the farthest point. Something which is everywhere has to be located at the nearest point. That makes sense, because that makes travel little easier. No fuel. So that becomes very easy actually that way. So the tattva behind everything, at that tattva level, it's common, and that is what is presented in this verse actually. Yes, as we go further, it will come back to oneself. Then what is the limit? What is the connection between the tattva and myself? That's more important. We come to the class, we understand, fine, so and so is a great guy, that's fine. So what? What for me? Nothing happens. I still go out as the limited being actually. So, but that's not a deal. Anyway, Vedanta gives the holistic picture. First step is this answer, that the ear of ear, eyes of eyes, that's what is that. Shrotrasya shrotam manaso manoyat. So, chakshusha chakshuhu, manaso manoyat. So, that's how it is presented, to bring the tattva as a concept actually first to start with. And then from there on, it will proceed further, as it was in Viveka Chodamani as well. See, the whole idea here is to challenge what we already know and what we already perceive as an understanding. So as we consult Vedanta, we go to Vedanta with our normal understanding what we have of world, and luckily, since we understand that there is something more to be known, though we do not know at that point in time what is to be known, we know that something is there which we should know, and that's supposed to give us good clarity and remove all the doubts in us, and thereby giving us a kind of freedom. So since we have the sense, we pursue this, but we don't have the ultimate clarity by that time. That is yet to be revealed by Vedas and Vedanta. So we approach with this idea. So when everyone approaches this, they have had their own conditioning. The conditioning coming out of this body, given the limitations of this particular birth, whatever we have, some may have dyslexia, some may have this, some may have that, some may have no kind of dosha. It all depends what kind of antahkarana and bahyakarana we have got, the external organs and internal organs, what kind of organs we have got. It's just chance, whatever we have got. Not only this body and mind, whatever we have got, affect us in terms of the understanding. Our previous vasanas, if people do appreciate that we have always been there in other forms as well, I think some of us probably will even understand that yes, some of these things we never understood from this time. I'm sure probably it should be definitely from the previous birth. One can probably use anumana, if not pratyaksha. If it is pratyaksha, it can be known through astrology. That is more through pratyaksha. But anumana definitely can be applied where, for example, we have never seen a particular creature, but then we are afraid of that particular thing. We have never come across that any time in this birth, but we are afraid of it. So that can only be because we have had past experience. Those past experiences have continued. So these are called vasanas in the technical term what is given in Vedas. So vasanas do affect us. So what we understand of the gross world in front of us is filtered by vasanas what we have, and also filtered by this birth, whatever experiences we have got in this birth. If, for example, one goes to school and the teachers have been always abusing or injuring a particular student, the student will have the same, what you can say, kind of impression that even if he would go to another school, he is going to get the same treatment. If he would have done everything what he could do, but he gets the same treatment, then he is going to make it very clear, branding that, okay, teachers means they are going to be like this only. So that's an experience. Maybe very particular to that particular person, maybe. but still that's an experience. So these filters, they create a problem in us. You can say they create a kind of pattern of understanding in us, through which we perceive, we infer, we do many things, we conclude based on these filters. So some cases the filter may be useful, some cases the filter may not be useful. So Shastra is very clear that each one, when the person comes, he is coming with certain filters. Shastra knows what are these filters, and those filters only it is trying to remove. So in this Brahma Vidya, all that what Shastra does is only remove the wrong understanding. Right understanding is already there amidst everything. For example, when we are talking about space as a concept, amidst in this entire world, space is already there. It was already there. But it takes a person to come and point to it, saying that, see, this space is the basic thing on which everything else is dependent. And we take it for granted. Without space, nothing can come about. You can't even think about length, breadth and height without that. So, somehow, our own understanding, different way of understanding, lack of understanding, whatever we may call it, affects the ultimate conclusion what we have about what is outside of us or inside of us. So, the conclusions which we draw are based on filters, not necessarily on what fact is. Unfortunately, the fact is completely shrouded and covered by the filters. All that Vedanta is trying to do is, it tries to understand what all possible filters could be there. Remove those filters. Remove those filters. Let the person just see things as they are, or see himself as he is, and not as he takes himself to be. Let him just see himself as he is, without any of these filters. So basically, Vedanta is just trying to do one thing: remove the filters, which basically distort understanding. That's all it does. And each of us have set of filters. And it would be lucky if we really know that, fine, we have only these 300 filters. Once we identify 300 filters, remove them, your own understanding is completely available. Unfortunately, it is not so easy that, okay, you just pass through one artificial intelligence program, one scan, like whatever scan you do, MRI scan, this scan, that scan, which can say that, fine, these 300 filters you have. Oh, this person has only 2 filters. Oh, he's very close to realization. Only 2 filters remove, it's done. So, unfortunately, it is not so easy. It's a little bit more mental. That's the reason it requires inquiry and it needs dialogue, because these filters are what you can say, surfaced. These filters surface only during discussions. So when a point is set, if that point is creating a problem, that's when the filter is operating, and the question which comes back saying that, no, what you're saying is this, but then this is how it's supposed to be. So the moment discussion happens, that's where filter comes to the foray, and that filter can be removed by the right answer. So this is what Vichara is all about actually. So here the person, when he's asked this question, straight away from the level of his Dehatma Buddhi, where he thinks everything is working entirely here, everything is just anatomy, from that thought, he is being straight away removed to a place where he's saying, boss, everything what you're seeing as anatomy is not the only reason due to which things are working. There is a tattva which is behind and beyond these things. That's the real reason based on which all these things are working. Please note. That's what the first line is saying. So basically, it's like a paradigm shift. Don't think everything is working because of this. Somewhere else, something else is also there. I think these days we have good examples. No, you might have an ERP. It will be good. Most of you know ERP. It will be very nice. For example, SAP is a ERP. What is ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning, we call it. We can give the example of a hospital. So in a hospital, normally when you go, all big hospitals, they have these kind of systems. So you go to a particular place, you pay the bill and you register yourself. That number is available throughout in all the departments, right from lab to operation theatre to everywhere. That number, your number, patient number 1, that is known to everyone, because they just put it in a master and that data is available to everyone. So now, if someone asks, the first question what we had, 1 minute. Keneshitam patiti preshitam manah kena prana pratham praiti yuktah. So if I just convert that into a simple question like this, saying one person is asking another person. Maybe this is a IT expert is asking. So IT expert is the guru here. He's going to the IT expert asking, boss, I registered myself at the reception. My number, my account number is 1. But when I went to this pathology lab, this guy was saying he was associating my name with this number 1. So, Mr. Bhaskar, can you come? I asked him, okay, how do you know my name? He said, yeah, you are patient number 1 and the name is associated with that is Bhaskar. So, I know this. So, I'm asking him, how do you know this? So, then this IT, like that, he would have had experience with all other counters also. So, one medical counter, one pathology counter, one surgical counter, wherever he goes, he knows this person is already identified. You are that person actually. And this is your history also. So he says, how come these guys know my history? So then the person has to come and say, no, there was an entry made and there is a server. That server has all the information and that server basically is the knowledge base from where every terminal can draw information and present. This is how when you went to each of this counter, the person who was operating the terminal had the information already. So there's no big secret, just there is one server that is helping. So now you are kind of matured. Okay, fine. So it is just that I gave the information in one point, but the point 1 had kept everything in a server, which is a common place, and server is giving the information to all these things. Now we can link this particular example to our verse where the person is asking how the indriyas work. So there's one gentleman saying, boss, there is one server based on which all this is getting this information. That's it. So that's all. There is one server based on which it is coming. So these days, it's not only located in a kind of, we call it cloud. So all the more when it is cloud, it becomes a little bit abstract and becomes more easy for our Vedanta discussion also. It is all there. So you can point out to the sky and say it is all there. The information is all there. So that's how this particular verse is being handled. And the person is straight away taken from one level of understanding to the next level of understanding. That's a giant leap actually. Straight away it's a giant leap. Straight away he's told that you are focusing on this indriya from an anatomy perspective. Please don't just see anatomy. There is something beyond that. You have to understand that there is something beyond that anatomy also which you should know. Everything that is pratyaksha in front of you cannot be the only basis of your understanding, especially when you want to know the ultimate thing. When you want to know the ultimate thing, your idea of knowledge and information and conclusions has to shift. Certainly, you have to make amendments in your understanding to get the right understanding. So basically, from one kind of understanding, the person is asked to shift his understanding to a different level, thereby broadening his horizon of knowledge. That's all. So the first attempt is that only, to just shatter his level of understanding and bring it to a different level. So the paradigm shift is being created in this particular answer. Shrotrasya shrotam manaso manayavate vachoha vacham savo pranasya pranaha chakshushas chakshuratimuchya dhiraha pretyasmal lokad amrita bhavanti. So it also says the phala also in that particular last line, that the one who knows this, those who know this, they do not come back to this world of death. They don't have death. So what is death? Death is with respect to birth. If one should avoid death, then what one should avoid? One should avoid birth. And ultimately, I think the Shastra makes us understand very clearly that there was no birth itself. So that's where it takes us to finally. Because if at all birth is there, where will you avoid it? You can't avoid a birth when it is actually there. You can't avoid it actually. And when birth is there, death definitely will be there. So then Shastra has to finally point out that there was never a birth. It was only your wrong understanding that you thought there was a birth. But for a continuing entity which you are, there is nothing called birth. That entity which is Chakshushas Chakshu, Shrotasya Shrotram, and Manaso Manoyat. For that, absolutely that's a Nitya Vastu based on which everything else is changing. That Nitya Vastu you are. So don't worry about this small body, mind, sense complex which you are coming up with as an understanding. Don't worry about it. That's what's going to come later. So in all this, I think what we find it difficult, all through Vedanta inquiry, what we find difficulty is what kind of difficulty we find is that to remove Dehatma Buddhi. That is what is the single most difficult thing that exists actually. We take ourselves to be this body, mind, sense complex. And repeatedly, Vedanta is trying to remove that filter only, but that filter is a very, very strong filter, a default understanding. It is a filter. So even as a kid, we look for food, and we know very well that without food we will die. That kind of a filter that is available. Just imagine a kid having such a kind of knowledge, and it doesn't care about father, it cares about mother. It knows mother only gives food. Simple as this. So that is the kind of default understanding we have right from the beginning. Be it human birth or be it any other birth for that matter, one knows very clearly without food one does not survive. Very, very clear. So these are the filters from where we come, and all of us, we are bound by the boundary, so-called boundary, which each jiva can have. As human beings, we have the skin boundary. As amoeba, it can have another outside body wall, what it has as a boundary. So each of these jiva, they pack themselves, and their boundaries are drawn, and they are entrenched, well entrenched in their understanding. That is the basic problem. That filter is the basic problem. Vedanta has to first work on that only, and that's where it keeps saying all this Panchakosha, it explains everything. Then it says you are not any of this. So the basic problem we find is only in that to come out of Dehatma Buddhi, that default understanding what we normally have is very difficult, but only Prayatna can help us. A repeated reassurance, and also a repeated hammering of that concept only can remove the wrong understanding, and that's what Vichara is all about. So mind has to follow the sadhana, keep it in the right level of strength to be able to grasp the knowledge, subtle knowledge that is being provided. So sadhana and the sadhana chaturthaya, what we are supposed to follow, is indispensable in this pursuit. With that, Vichara is also indispensable. The combination of these two only can make a person successful in this pursuit. So the Dehatma Buddhi part, how do we come out, is the real point. And that's where, yoga to some extent also helps, and it will also help to greater extent actually. But then again, that's a discipline. One has to take time for that. In yoga, I think, as we have discussed earlier also, the pinnacle of yoga is basically to understand the level of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is, Vikalpa is basically thought. So thought modifications to arrest thought modifications. So that's what it aims at actually. So one is knowledge based, other one is effort based. So yoga is more effort based, culminating into knowledge. Vedanta is Vichara based, culminating into knowledge. But in Vedanta also, effort definitely is required in terms of sadhana chatushtaya. A lot of that would also be achieved by yoga. So that's very important. So disciplining the mind is very important. Getting into this habit of being an observer is very important, because Shastra presents the ultimate to be the ultimate witness, oneself to be the ultimate witness. So to get into the Sakshi Bhava is very important. Repeatedly Shastra keeps talking about that witness. So even when a person is presented with this Avasthatraya, which is Jagrata, Swapna, Sushupti, the idea there is to differentiate between these three bodies and the person who can objectify these three states. So the idea is that actually not to strengthen our understanding of Dehatma Buddhi. Already we have taken ourselves to be Dehatma Buddhi. If Shastra comes and gives me 2-3 more colors of it, saying, your gross body, subtle body and causal body, it can only be entrenched much more actually. Shastra is not telling me this anatomy of gross body, subtle body, causal body, not for making me understand more about these boundaries and that I am bound. It is making me understand these things to elevate me to the level of witness of these three bodies, so that I stand out as a person who is the unchanging thing amidst these changing things. So that particular permanent position, the one who's Nitya, as a Nitya Vastu, so that is how it is trying to get us to as an understanding, not to strengthen much more bonding with our own body, saying that we can also say that, not only I am, Sthula Sharira, I am taught by Vedanta that I am also Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira. All the more I am some more bodies as well. So that is not, Dehatma Buddhi is not, that is being promoted by Vedanta. What it says is these things are bodies. Anything that you can objectify is not you, because when you are objectifying something, you are different from the thing that is being objectified. When you say it is your pen, you are not the pen. When you say it is your pocket, you are not the pocket. When you say it is your shirt, you are not the shirt. When you say it is your mind, your body, you are not the body. When you say you are saying it is your mind, you are not the mind. When you say it is your intellect, you are not the intellect. So where do you go beyond this now? So that you, which you say that you have those possessions are not you. You are that who is objectifying all these possessions. That's all. So that's how it gives kind of this kind of idea to be able to see anything other than oneself objectively, and that oneself is self-revealing, that does not need another microscope or a telescope to be revealed, much less our own eyes. We don't need our own eyes to see ourselves. We don't need. So that's the perspective which I thought of giving for this particular verse. We can have discussions. Anything that you have seen in any of those verses, you can. Sonia, please go ahead.
Actually, Bhaskarji, I was just going back to the question only. The question is, who is the one, who's the eye of the eye, for example. And I want to share an experience here that long back when, I was a kid and I saw somebody dying. And, at those times in newspaper, many times there were many news that scientists have created a lung in the lab, or they have created a heart in the lab, or something, whatever. I mean, as a kid, I used to latch on to those news articles also. And I think here in my mind that suppose if scientists are able to create everything, then can they put it all together and create a human being? Or can they all put it together and create, and then suddenly the news came that we are able to clone Dolly, the sheep, if you remember. As a child, there was a great, lot of hustle bustle about the thing that Dolly, a clone sheep, has been created. And again, the thought came in my mind that, how did they create Dolly? Then from scratch, if I say, what did they do? Did they take, as a child, the questions were there, I was not well informed. How would they have cloned it? Then, of course, the scientists, if they have cloned it, they must have taken a live cell.
Yes.
They have taken life from somewhere, and then the entire thing has been created.
Yes.
So my question was, that life, from where that life came, it means that life is already there. We are just cloning it, but we are taking that life from somewhere. It's so from where that life is coming. That question was, that question always was in my mind, and that made me sure as a child also that it means that life is there. That's a different word I am using, but that's the source. We are tapping in the source and then making a flower or making a sheep or making a, whatever, a baby or whatever. So what is that life? So when I read this question, that who's the eye of the eye king? So I might be able to create an eye somehow, but that one life source, the one which is making it capable of seeing, what is that? From where is it coming? And,
is that a question?
That.
Is that a question?
No, I was just discussing the question only. I mean, I'm not asking who now.
Understood.
But what I'm saying is that in a layman's term, even if I don't go to Kenopanishad and pick up, this question is there. That, We feel, as humans particularly, human species, that we are the enablers, we are capable and we can create this and that.
Correct.
Okay, we can create. But for creation also, we need to tap into the life source. I think when I read this question, that who is I went back to that, that part, that particular experience, that the question is that only, that life,
Yeah.
who is it, and what is it? If I'm not able to frame it rightly, but that remains. So it's the same thing which is being first questioned and then answered. Uh, Maybe answer is because we have already read Vivek Chudamani, so we say that we know the answer. But suppose if I leave that part, leave that portion out of Vivek Chudamani, or if I leave that part that I know the answer, and I just stick to the question and I just keep pondering over the question, that what is that life form which gives life to everything, rather in one sentence? What is it which is giving life to everything? To a cell, or to a dinosaur, or to a tree, or whatever. So the question, that's why probably I feel the question is more beautiful than the answer.
Yeah. Definitely. Question can be structured. Of course, structuring the question is also a difficult thing, but at least the question can be structured easier than the answer. Definitely, yes.
So if I just latch onto the question only and I keep thinking about it, and then come and listen to what you're saying, probably then it makes more sense to me. So I just wanted to share that, that question is always there, probably in everybody's mind in a different way. We might be asking the question, you might be starting here, why death? I can start from here, or why dukkha, or why somebody is suffering. And then you can go back, because again I'll come back to the answer to the question here only. So that's why I was finding the question, the way it has been framed, very beautiful. Probably it gave words to the queries and the different doubts and the thoughts we have, but we don't have answers to it.
Yeah.
So the question has been very beautifully worded.
Correct. I think it definitely is. The question has been done very clearly here. Just like that, the way where Vivek Chudamani was mentioned, Ko nama bandha katamesha agatah, katam pratishtha. Those are 7 questions. So what is bondage? How does it come about? How does it get established? How to come out of it? And what is the difference between Atma and Anatma? How do we differentiate between these two? How do we understand Atma? So those questions were there actually. Yes, the questions are brilliantly presented in most of these Upanishads, because they would like to definitely capture the common theme which everyone has. So you are right actually. That's what is making it really good actually, because that's how it has to be. Because we are talking about an ultimate thing. For getting an ultimate answer, the question also has to be ultimate. I think this comes in one of the movie actually. For an ultimate answer, we need an ultimate question as well. So the question is also presented in a very qualitative way. Agree.
Bhaskar sir, I have a one related thing.
Yeah, please.
So, as Sonia said, that we created, life cannot be created. We all can be. One thing which always, it is always there in my mind, say the Atma is neither cannot be created or cannot be destroyed.
Correct.
It is always existent from the time or beyond the time. So how it is possible or how it is to be understood that maybe a billion years ago we had a very less life on the planet, or maybe how suddenly we say that this how these the number of life increased, or we will say that it is like it was always been. So the total number of maybe Atman, the total number of Atma maybe 1 billion years ago and what it is today is something should be the same. One, and second thing related to it is that if we say that Atma is neither created nor destroyed, And does that mean that we are talking of maybe a gross, complete Brahman and not just about Earth?
Huh. So basically, all that what you said now comes from the understanding of Dehatma Buddhi. The moment we count jivas, we are talking about the boundaries. Those jivas within those boundaries. So when we are counting Atma, it is with respect to those bodies. Now, when individuality, as long as individuality exists, it certainly is valid. And as long as individuality exists with their ignorance, definitely it is valid. That's how you see, we talk about another birth as well, because there's a person who's taking birth, who's taking many bodies. So to that extent you can count it. But truth is that there is absolutely no difference between any of this. Given space, in space, let us take the quantum of 1 cubic centimeter, only 1 cubic centimeter. In 1 cubic centimeter, we can have 1 million of, or rather, 500 million of bacteria, in which case it is 500 jivas. Or we can have a small frog, which is 1 jiva. Or we can have 3 caterpillars, which amounts to 3 jivas. So, if 1 cubic centimeter can have such a variety of accommodation, then where is the size of Atma? There is nothing called the size of Atma actually. the invisible bondage, which is just ignorance, is the boundary, is the only boundary. There is no other boundary. That physical boundary is not the boundary. That intangible ignorance is the boundary. That's where it says, Ajnana yogat paramatmanastava. That's what it was mentioned. Because of ignorance, you have this bondage. So, when you go to the subtlest level, our understanding of Atma is Atma packed in one jiva, one body. That only is getting shattered. That's what I was saying earlier also. It's very difficult to come out of that Atma Buddhi, Dehatma Buddhi understanding. That's where the problem lies actually. And for that, the root cause is only a wrong understanding. Only Ajnana. Now you can imagine, if Ajnana create a boundary and erase a boundary, if Jnana can erase a boundary, was there Ajnana in the first place? Once Jnana erases the boundary and you have only one thing, you understand this, the entire thing is one only, why did I even assume that I was different from the entire system? The entire system is just one and I am that. In that understanding, all differences are swallowed actually. So then we will never come back with this logic of saying, okay, there were 1000 jivas earlier, and are they continuing even today to that level, or was it only 1000 there and now we have billions of jivas? Then how do they get created? So that question itself is coming from Dehatma Buddhi only. That's where Shastra is poking that place only as ignorance, saying you are bound only because of this wrong idea, which is ignorance. That ignorance, it pokes automatically oneness is arrived. So this I give this example most of the time. You have a puddle of water where is one point alone where the water is not together for whatever reason. And sometimes you can say if there is oil in a particular spot, their water will not come together, they will try to be aware. So you can see one puddle of water where at one point alone you have a kind of empty space or whatever it is. Now that's what I call in understanding, that's what I call as an ignorance. That's all. So to that extent, then you have shape, you have size, you have this, you have that, everything. The moment that ignorance is removed, it is just one thing. Now when you understand that full-fledged water as one thing, then there is no scope for any spot that we can discuss. There is no scope. And why there is no scope? Because that understanding earlier itself was coming out of a wrong conclusion, and a product coming out of a wrong conclusion can never be a product. For example, when Swamiji gives this example actually. So when we, for example, we travel in train and we have a list of 10 persons whom we should ensure that these 10 guys come along with us. Supposing you are the scout leader, the entire pack has to go together. So there are 10 gentlemen whom you need to lead. So you are not seeing them earlier. They are all supposed to assemble at one place and then you are supposed to take them. So you have number 1 to number 10, these persons. So you are actually looking for person number 1. You do not know who this gentleman is. So you are saying that some name you say, and then you say, I want this gentleman, and can we have? So until then you thought this person is different. You are inquiring the same person actually. Then he says, no, I am that person only. So now knowledge wise, earlier you thought of 2 persons because the one in front of you is not the one you had in mind. You thought there is another person you are searching actually, and you went and inquired to this person saying, boss, I am looking for Mr. So-and-so, can you help me identify this person? And he says, I am that person. Now, you created one another person in your mind separately. That's because of ignorance. Just because you created a person, now we can't say that fine, by the way, you may be that person, but I have already created another person, bring him also along by the way. How will it work? That will not work actually. Just because I have created a person, bring him along. At least तसल्ली हो जाएगी मुझे भी. उसको भी लेके आ जाना एक बार. Are you sure you are the same person? तो ये वो कैसे क्या करेगा अभी वो? He can't bring another person. He is himself. So that's how it is actually here. When Aham Brahmasmi, there is no one else other than this. So the wrongly created images, they are shed automatically when I know I am the only thing that exists here. Because every other thing I kind of erase out in the wake of knowledge, because ignorance is the base on which those products existed. Those products go off when ignorance is removed. So that's how it works. So this very idea of counting so many Atma is coming from Dehatma Buddhi, again boundary. So that boundary is what is getting, the idea of the boundary only is getting removed.
Correct, sir. Correct.
So as I said, in 1 cubic meter, we can have so many things coming within that. So when we see difference, yes, we can enjoy the world. Luckily, Ambika ji feels she is Ambika. Luckily, Bhavya feels she is Bhavya. Manish ji, you feel you are Manish. So we have interactions. To that extent, interactions, it's all fine. World is nice, and it's all fine. But as human beings, unfortunately, we cannot keep only going with what is going in front of us. Unfortunately, there are times when we put certain equations together and understand that something what is going in front of us doesn't look to be all that what is true. Something there is beyond this which is truth. So we need to know that. So unfortunately, we get into this actually. We can understand that much. That's the reason we get into this. And when you get into this, you should completely get into that particular level. There you understand, okay, at oneness level, everything is same. I am not different from any of those things. None of these people here, they are different from me as well, because there's only one source. So since there is only one source, Aham Brahmasmi, I can say they are also me only. In front of whatever I see, not only they are me, any vastu including computer, mobile, it's all me only. Because the tattva is, for world, material world, tattva is space. For space, entire Panchabhuta, I am the source. The consciousness is the source for all these things. Then space includes everything. So everything here is me. So Sarvam Khalvidam Brahmasi, Aham Brahmasmi. Job done. Sarvam Khalvidam. All that is here is that Brahman alone. And Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. As one entity. Not as a different person. I am not one of those Brahman. I am just Brahman. That's all. So in that understanding, cognitively, you come out of the wrong understanding. That Akhanda Vritti, Aikya Vritti comes in actually. And that is a solution for the person who was inquiring logically. His problem is gone. You are already one. There is no more issue. From there on, when you have to transact, you have to bring in the transactional reality. Then we can't say that, Manishji, come on, you and me, we are one only. So let me eat. You will also be free of hunger. I can't say that. So I have to bring in that maturity to still understand that, okay, in my ultimate cognitive understanding, we are all one. There's absolutely no difference. These body, they are anitya. However, we have different stomach. Each of us need to eat. So that is how. I can't say that once I join dinner, I can say, by the way, Shikhaji, Manishji, all of us are one. Let me eat, you all will be satisfied. I cannot say that. I have to still keep my common sense, at least whatever some of this sense which was there when we were Anyana, they hold good for the material world in terms of the transaction. We have to continue with those. Those things we can't remove. We do continue with them, but ultimately we know. For example, if food is not served, if food is not to the taste, there you don't need to really worry. You can joke, of course. On green tea, for example, we can joke. That's a different thing. But we don't take it ultimately to heart saying, oh God, I was never served this food. So I'm gone now. I don't know what will happen to me, my jiva. We don't get into that because you know that you are that ultimate. It always exists. Everything that is happening here is happening in you. In you. That's what is happening actually. So that understanding once one has, no, then obviously everything becomes very simple. I'm saying it's very simple. Yes, it is simple. It just needs vichara. It is simple. Yeah. Thanks, Sonia, for adding, and thanks, Manishji, for your perspective and questions. Okay, I see it's already 7:40. Yes, Bhavya, please go ahead.
Sir, when everything is happening within our jiva, no, why is others jiva affect us emotionally?
When you're saying, repeat your question.
So when everything is happening within us only, right? Our jiva is only responsible for everything. Everything is within.
That's where Dehatma Buddhi is very important. So, when we say us, we are meaning the totality. So, when we say totality, there are no others. When you are the totality, there are no others.
That is where we have not reached. That's why it is affecting, right?
See, the idea of others comes when you see yourself to be small.
Right.
In that understanding, samsara is, and as long as samsara is, problems of samsara will be there. Only in understanding, when we understand that, oh, what you see in front of you is you only.
Everything.
It is not different from you. Then others does not come. So the problem about others does not arise at all because it is only you. Now people may have this problem actually saying, at least earlier I could blame others. Now I can't even blame others in this understanding. but that state is only when one takes again the compartmentalized understanding. I can't blame others. So I am standing out different from others. So this compartmentalized approach still creates a problem. In Aikya approach, it is Vayam, we, us. It's just one thing actually. So there that problem will not be there once the Aikya happens. But until Aikya happens, definitely the questions what the seekers ask will be from this idea of Dehatma Buddhi only. There's nothing wrong in it. Because we have to keep thinking at the level where we are, we have to keep thinking. And always the incremental understanding gives way and it removes the doubts what we have. Later we will definitely, alter our thinking. But we have to keep thinking and we have to allow the thoughts and we have to allow the doubts to surface and we have to allow the pramana definitely to operate so that, the doubts are removed. That definitely is indispensable. We have to keep asking the doubts at our level wherever we are. And that's what is going to mature you to the next level. So, Bhavya, it works that way. So, when we understand, when you understand to be oneself, including Guru and Brahman is gone actually. There's only one thing that exists. In that there is no doubt also. Doubt also becomes an external thing, another thing. So, Advaita. There is nothing, including a doubt. Nothing other than oneself, including a doubt actually.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, we'll chant Purnamada.
Sorry.
Yeah. Please. Sorry, I didn't see your hand, Sonia. Please, go ahead.
Just one thing, Bhaskar. I wanted to add that when we say that something is affecting us, anything, and something is affecting us means there are two. Then only the things can affect, And when we read in Vivek Chudamani, there was, many shlokas were there which were explaining about the Panchakosha. They were talking about Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. That description was there. There was also how we have come into, how how the life cycle is going on. Those things were there. So actually, if we go back to those shlokas, then that understanding was given that how this Maya thing is working. Like why three gunas. He explained three gunas. He explained all those things,
Yeah, yeah.
and how the sanskaras are there, how the life is, what is rebirth, what is happening. So when I understood that, when I understand that, and then probably I am even able to understand that why I see duality.
Yes.
Non-duality is only possible, or Advait is only possible when I understand duality.
Yeah.
Till the time I am not able to understand this, because many times people question, I'm not, they say, do you believe in birth or rebirth? Now it becomes a very difficult question for me to answer, because I'm not able to explain rebirth to anybody the way people understand rebirth to me. They feel that if there is rebirth of Sonia, then Sonia is only coming back as as a dog. In dog's body there is something called Sonia inside it. So it becomes very difficult. But when I understood it through Vivek Chudamani, that what actually rebirth means according to our Shastras, and how beautiful they were. That's why they were explaining, those sanskaras
Yeah.
being continued. And when I understood that, probably then understanding non-duality is, is easier.
Yeah.
Then I can understand that, okay, affecting will happen. Because in the Maya world, I will not use the Maya world because it creates confusion. That because there is how this cycle is going on, and the cycle is on and on and on, but not it all is in non-duality. Like waves, one wave will affect the other wave, and another wave will become bigger or smaller, or will not be cease to exist or whatever. But ocean remains ocean. Ocean does not change. So again, I say that in the Shastra very beautifully they have described, all those things, the duality thing, the continuity thing, so that I can later on come and understand non-duality.
Absolutely. So, Bhavya, basically, Sonia saying this from our Vivek Chudamani. So I'll give you the reference of that book as well. You can go through that also. We can discuss that also later. We'll do that. That gives a lot of granular support on the on the technology part of it. How birth comes, what happens, why it comes about. Those things are mentioned there. Actually, it will be helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sonia, for supplementing.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonia.
Okay. Fine. We'll chant Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Bhaskar-ji. Hari Om all.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Good day, all of you. Happy 2026.
Happy
Happy New Year.
Happy 2026.